Hey, welcome to the Cam and Otis show. Golly, the fog is dense today, Camden. I tell you what. Yeah. Hey, joining us. I'm not going to let any cats out of any bags unless we're herding the cats. But joining us all the way from Virginia is Miss Yolanda Clarke, the founder, and I love the name of your company because it just sounds so cool. Powder River Industries. Yolanda, man, great to have you here.
Thanks, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing great, doing great. Like maybe a little foggy, like I said, but that's okay because my mind's going about a zillion directions right now after our little green room discussion, and I'm like, well, what about this? What about that? And one of the things that I want to jump right into because I was in the same whatever you call it. Lockheed's such a big company, the IS and GS monstrosity. I spent a little time there right after I got out of the Army, and you spent a bit longer time there. What was the best thing about being part of the Lockheed team?
Oh gosh, the best thing? That's tough. It was cool. I mean, Lockheed is and has been a really significant driving force of technology in the world for so long. So I guess just being part of that legacy, after coming out of active duty, it was a really intuitive transition to be part of something that was bigger than myself. So it was really easy for me to assimilate there. And there were a lot of like-minded people, of course the people were amazing. The missions were amazing. The customers were amazing. And it was the best thing. I mean, I guess I hate this expression, but it's accurate. Learning how the sausage gets made, recognizing how big and challenging delivery is from the contractor perspective to the customer.
Yeah, it's funny. When I first started working at Lockheed, I had that same feeling, by the way. It was an easier transition for me because I was working with some guys I'd already known, and then the guys I didn't know that I was in there were all vets, and we kind of had a similar attitude, similar values, and things like that. So it made that part of it very easy. And my dad's a Lockheed alumni, I guess you call him at this point. He retired several years ago, but I always remember the realization that holy crap, Dad, you were a dirty, stinking contractor for all those years when I was growing up. And now I'm one of those dirty, stinking contractors. And just, you're right. Seeing the sausage made, because you see the headlines, Dad was an F-16 engineer. So you see the headlines about, the price of the F-16s going up and this and that. And Lockheed's, trying to get over on the government. Nobody ever reads the underlines where it says the Air Force called them up and said, hey, can you add this? Right? Because that's what you were dealing with when you talk about making the sausage behind the scenes. The customers calling you up every so often, probably, if you're lucky, only
daily, every day.
Daily. And say, hey, I know we said it'd be really cool if it did this, but could it do this, this, and this too?
Yeah, well, and what you're describing is something that I still face today, but I feel like I kind of have my legs under me on it at this point in my career. Our customers in the federal government are in an incredibly dynamic operating environment. Things are changing all day, every day that they do not control. And they're counting on their vendors and their supply chain to be there for them when they call. But the mechanisms for contracting aren't flexible like that. And so just that relationship and knowing every day when you wake up that you're already set up for friction, right? Like, yes, I desperately want to help you. Hold on a second and let me see if I can. let me figure out if I can't. And if I can't, why, so I can tell you so that you can go figure out how to fix that part so that I can get you what you need.
Yeah. I mean, I remember that lesson very well, and Dad telling me the same thing. Dad goes back far enough to where, the Air Force colonel was a teammate And
Mhm.
then something changed and the Air Force colonel became the guy with the clipboard taking notes. And, oh, Dr. McGregor, you spent 15 minutes at the water fountain today. What were you doing? Things, I mean, literally that kind of change almost overnight. And that, not to dwell on our government contracting system, because geez, there's a depressing thing to get into, but it is difficult to make good. I mean, and in a little bit of defense, I got to say, it's also to protect
Yes,
us, the taxpayers, in the end,
100%. Right.
because there are bad people out there. I mean, we've all seen the movies, right? There are bad people out there trying to just get over on the government. And so,
I mean, well, there's bad actors in
yes.
every case, right?
Oh yeah.
Active duty.
I'm
We were active
curious.
duty.
I'm curious on the civilian side of this, because you guys are talking out of areas that I don't really know. What kind of I guess causes that kind of a disconnect between such a dynamic environment, such a dynamic product need, mixed with the delivery system that doesn't, it's kind of getting my economics, like market failure brain going a little bit on that. What is the source behind that for all the civilians like me?
Well, I don't think there's one answer to that question. Because if there was, we would have figured it out, solved it, and we wouldn't be talking about it right now, right?
Right.
I think some of the common causes are experience levels. You have people in the decision-making process with different levels of experience, different types of experience. A lot of times the people that are career buyers in civilian terms, it's a very complicated buying environment. So to be good at it, be an expert at it, you have to spend time in it. You have to practice it just like anything else. But if you choose to spend your time doing that, that means you're not spending your time in operations. You're not spending your time in the boots, on the ground, having that emotional experience of, existential threats. And so you're just coming to the business equation at different emotional levels as well as experience. And the languages are different, right? Like I try, and I probably fail more than I succeed, to choose simple words. Because like in our case, we have customers across multiple different branches, like different branches of service, different operating arms of the government, and they all have a culture and a community that is organized around their mission and what they need to do. And that might be geographically based or technology based or whatever. And so their whole language is around that, and their whole emotional framework is around that. And I think the only way we are successful, I guess, as a company, in delivering across all these different diverse operating environments is to use the simplest communication, the simplest words, the simplest descriptions possible, so that we're clear and we can avoid miscommunication as much as possible.
I think that's the lesson learned that applies to all businesses, is being that, truly understanding what the customer wants, translating it in how you fix it, and then simplifying that solution. Because, if you're sending them, trigonometry, I can't think of the calculus. There we go. That's the one that really scared me. That's why it was way back.
There you go, Mr. Engineer.
Yeah. I played one on TV at the Hotel 6, but it is that if you're not getting the point across. Now, I mean, if the formula is how they communicate, then send the formula. But you got to know what your customer needs, and you got to understand how they need it, how they need to know that, hey, we've got it. Our widget is the thing that'll solve that for you. Or if we don't have that widget, we got the capability to make a widget do you want us to make that widget? Right. I
Mhm.
mean, now you've had a lot of experience with that. I mean, we talked a little bit about Lockheed and things like that. I mean, it is a massive organization, but man, there's a lot of, you're spot on, a lot of goodness with Lockheed. But you left there thinking, and I'm just going to put words in your mouth, thinking I could do this better. So why else would you start your own business, right? So
Well,
what happened?
it's funny that you're just like a mind reader. Those weren't the words I said. That's what I said in my head. What the words I said out loud were, hold my beer, watch me. You know, I mean, if I'm honest, the reason why I left is largely because I was a military spouse and we were on the Marine Corps merry-go-round with my husband's career, getting orders left and right. And like the velocity of movement and significant movement was really disruptive to my career. And this was pre-COVID, obviously. And I had spent enough time overseas in uniform, working across lots of different military units and types of military units and setting up comms for people and all over the world in crazy scenarios. And he was like, no, really, we can do this. Like, no, really, we can communicate across oceans. And no, really, I can do this job from here or there, wherever. But that just wasn't the convention, right? That wasn't the remote aspects of things just were not as widely accepted as they've had to become because of COVID. So when I was starting Powder River, yes, I did think, you know what, I can do, you know, what could I do better? Now, it's funny because some people have this misconception that, well, you know, government contracting is easy for you because you were in the military. Government contracting was easy for you because you were a contractor. It's like, I didn't start my company in my garage and like build satellites, right? Or like Lockheed Martin builds F-16s, F-35s, satellites, missiles. I'm not doing that in my garage and base housing, right? Like, so explain to me again how that was helpful. I'll wait. Okay. So you still, like, I still had to start everything from the bottom up and bootstrap everything and come up with ways to make it work. And I'm not delivering missiles. I'm not delivering satellite systems. We're doing completely different things. But it did give me that perspective and self-awareness of where am I relative to my environment, whatever that is, as a person or as a business. So really, I started not because I thought I could do anything better. Actually, when I say this out loud, it sounds super depressing, but I did it because it was literally the best next best option.
Love that. I love that because, you know, that is, I mean, truthfully, I would say that's probably the first answer from an entrepreneur we've gotten that was like that. Most of them is like, yeah, I saw this and I thought that, or, you know, I always fall back to the Rob Angel. Rob Angel is the guy who did a Pictionary, and, you know, his dad got laid off and that put a big impression on him. He's like, I'm never working for anybody growing up. That's what that's why he pursued something. And when you think about that, it was for you the next best option, because what else would there have been? So since it was the next best option to start a company, here's the chicken or the egg. Next best option, was it, oh, I could do that over there? Or was it, all right, I got to start a business. What the hell am I going to do?
Oh, yeah, that's Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so a friend of mine, so my friends, my peers are amazing people, and I'm certainly a product of my village, right? So I can't take credit for any of it, but I can just be a good shepherd of the amazing things that people have taught me. One of my friends from big industry last week was asking me, okay, so be honest with me. When you started Powder River, were you just scared out of your mind? Not his exact words, we're friends. So, and I was like, no, no, like, no, I wasn't scared. I was sad. I was super sad. I was like, I didn't have this, you know, and if this podcast was 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I would have had this forced fake it till you make it Pollyanna. Oh yeah, woo! Entrepreneurism is awesome. Being your own boss is awesome. I totally wanted to do this. Okay, but now we're 6 years in. Time to be real. Yes, I did want to be an entrepreneur. Did I know what I wanted to do? Nope. Would I have chosen it at the time I did in the conditions that I was in? Absolutely not. It was horrible. It was the worst idea, but it was the best idea. Think about it, right? So no, I didn't have like this big, I'm going to go solve that problem, but it wasn't a build it and they will come either. It was like, but get an entity. A business is an entity. It's a vehicle. It's a vessel that can move people, processes, and tools. Okay, get that going and dial that in. It's just a chassis, right? And then look at a market. What is the market? Where am I geographically, physically, logically, mentally, capably? Like, what are my skills, talents, strengths? Who do I know? What is the market asking for right now? What is the demand signal? Can I do that? Out of all the noise in a market, what can I do? I have very Jedi, like, listen. Nope.
Did you go out in the woods and meditate? Did you go for a hike? Did you
Girlfriend,
just
I
close yourself in the
meditated like
bathroom and say, leave me alone?
I was a meditating fool. I have meditated. I climbed all the mountains. I walked all the beaches. Just listening for my question. Oh, I can do that. Stop. And then ignore everything else around me. Get real focused, like maniacally, diagnosably focused, and only on that thing. Only on that thing, whatever that is. And then dial in my sensors, like listen for that signal, listen for that. That's it. That's your signal. And as soon as I found my traction, like, oh, I can do that. And someone saw that I could do that and gave me a chance to do that. Oh, when you get a chance, boy, you better crush it. And that was my first toehold. And so did I know what it was going to be? No, but I just waited and I listened and I was ready, right? My husband always reminds me of, I don't know whose quote it is, but luck favors the prepared. So I may have answered this question before. Like, I kind of looked at it like a sniper position. I know there's something out there. I just have to lay here and wait, breathe, eat, and breathe, and be real sure I'm going to pull that trigger when that target comes in my sights.
What was that mental like transition period like as you kind of started moving forward with it? Because I can definitely relate with some of my entrepreneurial ventures of it's like, this is the best path forward. Like I'm not freaking happy about it though. Like this isn't like, okay, let's go, this is awesome. It's just you did the math and you're like, all right, well, I guess it's option C. Like, so how did you take that kind of mental state and put it into positive energy to start moving forward?
Oh my gosh, I so appreciate your insight with that question. Thank you. How did I turn it into positive, productive energy? Well, I started, I guess, I cleaned house, right? Literally, mentally, physically. I'd say, like, if you get into the entrepreneur, entrepreneur, hashtag hoodie, hashtag jeans, like this is entrepreneur life. When you go to the events, there's a ton of drinking, there's a ton of bragging. Don't do that.
Mm.
Don't buy into that. It's totally unproductive. You don't need to be staying up all night drinking with a bunch of other people who are having ideas of grandeur. A lot of people, but I needed that support system as well. So I had to go out and find the people who were in a productive state of mind. But yeah, clean your house, like deal with your stuff, right? Like all of a sudden, I was active duty, I was Lockheed, I was with teams and teams and teams and teams of people, and now all of a sudden I'm alone. And I guess, but prior to that, you dealt with your stuff by talking it out with your team, and you had people calling you out like, hey, you should run faster. Hey, your kit's all messed up, fix yourself. But there's nobody to tell you that. So you got to look in the mirror a lot and fix it. Like whatever it is that's in your way, get out of your way. Some people, I haven't, probably because I'm in a time that some people get therapists, and that's, you can't dump all this emotional stuff, the unhappiness of this is the choice. I'm not happy about it, but it's the choice. You can't dump that on your friends. You can't dump that on your family. You have to find an outlet. So, I mean, this just, I'm a morning PT person. Get up, walk the dog a mile, 10 miles, whatever, however many miles it takes. And just learn to cycle through, like for me, I had to learn to cycle through my stuff faster. Like whatever, like identify what it is that I am doing to get, that is in my own way, get out of my way faster. That certainly helped. Now that we're in a, steady state business, it's easier because I have my team again, right? I have this awesome team of people. So it's a lot easier. It's not easy. It's easier because I'm not carrying the burden by myself anymore.
That's awesome. I appreciate you walking us through that, because I think, I mean, the literality of it, the cleaning house is just so true, because, and I think in kind of that, and that's similar to your quote, the luck happens to the prepared, or fortune smiles on those prepared, is kind of a stoic sort of way of looking at it. But you know what, if your desk is cluttered, your mind is cluttered too. If you've got all this stuff going on in your life that's all over the place, guess what? It's all up here too. It's all cluttered up here. And if you need clarity at what you do to choose a path and walk towards it, man, you gotta do something. And sometimes the physical aspect of it is that thing that helps with the mental aspect of it. So that
I want to add on there, because I actually talked with a client, a client about that last week, about why do you always want to like literally clean house when you're stuck in those kind of situations. And I think it's because partially it's like what you're saying of like your environment is cluttered, so your brain feels cluttered. Also, I think the reason that it works for so many people is it's an easy win. Like you talk about quick wins in business. It's like, okay, well, hey, I'm going to spend today cleaning the house. Boom, did it. I'm great. And then now you can go on to that next thing. And I think that that's why people use it so much. So sorry, I had to jump on that because I had this conversation last week.
No, you're right. Like get your wins in early. That's a fantastic, whatever it is, make the bed or get your day organized, get everybody out the door, whatever, win early, because that positivity, those endorphins carry you through the rest of the day. Sure.
Well, I just got to give creds to, one of my bosses, Admiral McRaven, and his make the bed speech that he gave. Yeah. Although he gave it at the wrong university. It's his university. It's the wrong one, but that's okay. It's okay, boss. We still love you and appreciate you and respect you, but but which kind of leads to where I'm thinking going now. You've had a really broad experience and time in the Army, time in the reserves, time in a big, giant Lockheed Martin with leadership. What's a leadership nugget that's kind of been like that theme when you start to think back, from all the way back when you started your Army career on active duty, that's kind of carried through to even now when you're running your business?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I guess and I don't know if you want to go here or not, but
We go wherever. I got
I
4-wheel
think,
drive. I'm all set.
right. So we have generational differences happening now, right? Like, because I have been working for so long, I joined the military right out of high school, and the leaders that I worked with back then, the leadership style was very different. Like, I was in the screaming, hollering, leaders throw desks through windows. Like,
Yeah, I had them too.
oh, okay. And then now we're in a different, we've probably gone through like 3 different major paradigm shifts with relative to leadership. The one thing that sticks with me, well, 2 things. One was I was enlisted at the time, and a captain. I had so many. I had so many opportunities in front of me, and I grew up in the sticks. I didn't know one thing from the other, and I'm like, how do I choose? How do I choose which thing to do, to focus on? Where do I go? And this captain, who was prior enlisted as well, said to me, make the choice that you can live with for the rest of your life. If this is as far as you ever go, if this is all you ever do, would you be okay with that? Could you be okay with that? And if the answer is no, that's not the right choice. Not it. And I still stick with that today, And I mean, that kind of comes to the idea of burning bridges. We're in a hard, things are hard. Like 2022 is crazy, and it doesn't get easier with time, and just there's more challenges. And then the other thing is from a first sergeant. I will love him till the day I die. He's like, there's always another card in the deck. Like, you wake up, you've got a hand. These are the cards you were dealt today. Do the best you can with that, but you might lose this round. There's always another card in the deck. Wake up tomorrow and try something else. This doesn't work. And I think that's important to understand, that failure is not a terminal state, right? Like, yeah, if you're trying, you're failing. If you're trying things you've never done before, you will fail. But that cannot be the end of the road. That's not the end of your story. Try again.
I like that, because to me, those two almost go hand in hand. Of, it's making the best choice with what's in front of you, and then knowing that there's going to be other choices after that. Like, you have to live with the choice now, but I think that's like the interesting thing there when you talk about making tough decisions, is information's always changing. The world is always going to be changing in front of you. And so even if like the decision I made yesterday, I can now say is like the stupidest thing I could have possibly done, if yesterday it was the right choice, then it's still the right choice, and it's not a failure. It's just, I made the choice in the moment, and then you have to move forward with that. But I think you have to have that perspective of one, like you said, there's always another card in the deck. There's always going to be more choices. There's always more coming. But then just, can I live with this choice now? And if you think hard enough about something, can I live with this? The stoic way, Dad, would be, if I died tonight in bed, would I be happy with this day that I lived? If you can answer that with confidence, then even if the information changes, you can move forward with that confidence.
Yeah, and you will sleep at night. One of the questions people like to ask leaders all the time is, what keeps you up at night? The answer better be nothing. I'm good. See you tomorrow. And if it's not, clean your house.
That boy, there's a one to put a nail on and hang it up on the wall. I mean, yeah, if something's keeping you up at night, fix it. You're in charge, right, buddy?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, because you're right. People ask that all the time. What keeps you up at night? Hell, I've asked that of clients too. What keeps you up at night? Trying to get that secret insight to the mind. But in the end, you're responsible. Fix it.
Yep.
Fix it. That's right. I love that.
I got
I
to admit that
today. I've not always felt that way, but I can say that today.
I was gonna say, I got to admit, that was literally me Monday night this week, of wanting to get up out of bed at 11 o'clock at night. I was like laying there for 30 minutes, couldn't fall asleep. I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go get to work. And then I sat up in bed and went, okay, well, what am I gonna do that's actually gonna make this better? What is the thing that I'm actually gonna go do? Am I just gonna go sit in front of the laptop and stare, refresh the Facebook ads, see how many link clicks I'm getting to see if there's any sales? No, that doesn't do anything. And then recognizing that, so that you can then close the proverbial book and then get to sleep and not have that keep you up at night.
Yep. Spreadsheets are humbling, man. I think that's where I learned. Waking up in the middle of the night and then messing up my pricing spreadsheet. I mean, spending 12 hours a day to fix it because I just couldn't let it go.
Yeah. No, and you know what? That leads me to something that it's kind of in the same realm of what keeps you up at night. But as the CEO, what do you need to know? What are those things? What's your list of 3, 50, 100 things that
commander's priority information requirements? That
yes, ma'am.
Okay, why didn't you say so?
CCIR.
Anything personal. I mean, I'm still a soldier till through and through. Don't mess with food, pay, or sleep. We good? I want to hear about that. So pay issues, personnel, I don't need to know all the personal business, but is anybody getting loose in the socket? Anybody feeling restless? What else do I want to know? I want to know about my people. I want to know about my customers, if anything, good, bad, whatever, what is working, what's not working, what do you want more of, what do you want less of, from us or anyone else to our left or right, because that's going to affect us. Yeah, I'm in all the proper MBA responses to that, cash flow, security stuff. I mean, we support the government, so anything related to security.
Your MBA professor is very proud of you right now. So there you go.
They're pretty cool. They're pretty cool. I like those.
So how do you do that? And because this comes up with CEOs all the time, whether they're my clients or people I just talked to or people we've had on the show, is how do I get this information? Does your team pass it to you? Do you have what's your process? Just call you on the spot. What's the tool that you use?
I'm going to look at the clock to make sure that I don't take too long answering this.
One of those, huh?
Yes, it changes over time. So I was a Lockheed Martin PMDP, program management development person. I did that program for 2 years. I'm a PMP. I worked dashboard development management. I lines of like entire lines of business, KPI management at Lockheed. So like that is burned into my eyelids. I can't unsee it. But there's appropriate levels of applying that depending on the size of your business. And I have been growing with that and learning that over time. So things I did make mistakes on, I think probably early on was overkill and startup, like over applying KPIs and SLAs, key performance indicators or service level agreement types of metrics on too small of a data set, right? You're in startup.
Mhm.
You're trying to take the Lockheed Martin systems and tools and drop it on you.
Don't do that. I mean, you might, don't do that. Go play in traffic. Don't do that. Like, that's terrible. You have a better chance of success. Now that we're growing, I have ops time every day. So I kind of divide my time up between like business development, marketing, operations, and then looking at financial stuff. And so I'd probably spend, and this is just right now based off of the time, you know, the time where we are and relative to the size of my business, where we are and where we're going. So I spend maybe 30 to 40% of my time doing business development and marketing, 30 to 40% of my time doing operations, and maybe 10% of my time looking at accounting, finance kinds of things, mainly because that information doesn't change that fast. So what I saw yesterday should be pretty predictable what I see today, you know, so I don't have to spend tons and tons of time there. I think one of the mistakes entrepreneurs make is, well, dwelling and fixating on things based off bias, and whichever way that bias is going. Like, I'm biased towards business development and marketing because I've spent a lot of time doing business development and capture. So it's very easy for me to go down the rabbit hole. Whew. I'm in, we're doing analysis and I'm not coming out for 72 hours because this feels good, right? I get lots of positive feedback signals.
Yeah.
Or I'll go down the ops path and I lose sight of business development because I was a portfolio manager. I managed contracts. Wow, I've managed lots of people. I want to be here. I want to be with you and talk about your stuff and tell me about how does that supply chain process work? Yeah, whoa, stop it. So right now, where that sort of matrix of information flow happens for us is I have my key leaders, my support staff, my operational and business development. Like I'm lucky enough and fortunate enough to be at a business size where I have people helping me. I mean, before the answer is it's all in my head. I'm doing it all. Mm-hmm. That doesn't work when you get to a certain scale. So we have a window open every day and it's like we all opened our office doors if we were all in the same building and we just shout at each other. Hey, HR, what's going on? What's going on with those open recs? I don't know. What salaries can I give these guys? Let me know, I'll tell you. If you made that number bigger, I could give you a better, we'd be doing better. You know, okay, counting. Can we afford that? No, terrible idea.
Accounting always says that. No, you can't afford that.
Yeah, so we just open the door and shout at each other for an hour or two every day. We use online tools and we have dashboards, and so we have like quick access to all of the data. As that grows, I probably will adopt more of like the Lockheed Martin monthly operating review practice, you know, and where we cover the major family groups or knowledge areas of the PMBOK, the Program Management Book of Knowledge, cost, schedule, performance, risk, and go deep in every area. That's not productive for us right now because we're still small enough that there's enough transparency to see it all. That was a long answer, sorry.
No, it was great, but you know, I gotta ask this because it really confused me when I first got to Lockheed. Are they still using Otis
Oh, God.
opportunity tracking and something?
Yes. Wow, time machine.
Yeah, let me tell you, newbie right out of the army, and I would hear Otis, or Otis would come across on a message or something. I'd be like, what?
Well, that depends. Is it an A or a B order in the LRP?
Whoa,
Huh?
you got me on that one there, playing Stump the Chump trivia games.
What's an LRP? What's an A order? What are you talking about? I don't know. I left Lockheed like 6 years ago. So
Okay, all right. No, I just had to ask that because that just popped into my head as you were talking about the processes of PMBOK, all those sort of things. Because yeah, that was I still laugh every time I think about that. All those books up on the shelf that had Otis and great big bold letters all around. I'm like, they're all mine.
what to do with them?
So I got to say a couple things about Powder River, or ask one and say something. I love going to your all's website and staring at that picture. I keep waiting for like a herd of elk or a pack of wolves to be trailing along across here. So, tell your web designer that Otis would really like to see that. But what's going on next with Powder River? Where are y'all going?
We're the literal answer is we are in the process of building out our pipeline for the next 1, 3, and 5 years. I recognize my own bias in that, and I'm letting other people tell me their opinions, and then I'll decide. We have been doing a lot in supporting customers in some pretty hard areas of engineering. And when I look at what's available in the small business set-asides, I don't see that scope of work for small businesses. It's usually bundled up in larger scopes of work with large partners. And I think there's ego or conditioning that gets involved, where it's like, well, you got, and maybe it's a Lockheedism, like letting that go. If you got a prime, you got a prime, you got a prime. Like, do I? But we're happy. We like our team. We like I don't know. So that's sort of like this question of the universe. I think the answer is we'll probably continue to stay supporting our partners for at least the next 3 to 5 years, because we're having a great time. I love the work we're doing. I know we're making an impact. I know our customers appreciate that. Our employees are happy. It's not broken.
Yeah.
So, and then take that time to really focus on the elements of the business that are tangible in a remote culture, which is different than when we're in 12 states, we're performing remotely. So it takes longer, it takes more time, and it takes more discovery to find those incentives and those opportunities to connect with people in a meaningful way that's impactful to everybody and valuable to everybody over time. And so I think we're definitely focused on that, and building that out and making sure that that's endurable. And that's really that's the place I want to work. I want to work there. And so when that gets to steady state, and I know that we've got to quote the book, I think it's to have all the right people on the bus, and all the right people are on the bus because we have a bus.
Yeah.
Good to great. Yeah, thank you.
Somewhere
I see
up there.
that now. Thank you. That one over there. We have a bus now, so let's get all the right people on it. Then maybe we'll go a different direction, but I'm happy where we are. We are priming. We do have some prime contracts. We are submitting a few prime proposals. And And we intend to honor those if we're lucky enough to win and be selected by our customers. And we'll see if that changes things. But right now, I want to just keep kind of doing more of what we're doing.
Love it. There's nothing wrong with that. And folks, just so you're not confused, she didn't say stay where we're at and be the same as we are. She said, I like where we're at and as we're going. There's a big difference in that. So just to be clear on that, because there's actually Camden put up a couple of videos and some things about complacency the other day on our social media. So it's not what she's talking about.
No, I'm saying the business mechanisms for identifying our good business targets are good. Leave them alone, don't mess with them, but focus on those items of retaining amazing talent, creating a virtual remote workplace that is rewarding to be in. And that, I think people are still discovering what that is. And in finding a center point that works for everyone is going to take a lot of trial and error. Stand by for my newest mistakes.
There you go. That's the best attitude to have too, right? My newest mistakes, here they come. I love it, love it. Which you could almost chalk that up as something you learned today. But I will say that for me, what I learned, I loved your the way you put it, business is a vessel to get people, processes, and systems moving. That is so true. I mean, it is just a vessel. So yeah, think of it that way, right? Camden, what'd you learn?
Don't work on your spreadsheets after midnight.
Tactical. I love it.
There you go. There you go. Yolanda, how about you? What'd you learn?
I learned that I am in a much happier place as an entrepreneur than I was when I started. There's definitely a lot more joy in the workplace. We'll put it that way. There's a lot less.
Love it.
I don't know how to spell that. Good luck.
Yeah. We'll let the auto text thing figure that one out. But you know, it begs to say though that money can solve problems. I mean, you know, there's. I don't mean that money is the root of all success and happiness. But if things are going good, it's a lot easier to keep that eyes open, head up, smiling, looking around to see where the next opportunity is, as opposed to diving down into it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to cover Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yep. Oh.
If you can't feed yourself, shelter yourself.
You just trumped our stoicism. I tell you what, well done. Way to wrap it up, Yolanda. Throwing out Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That is awesome. How do folks learn more about Maslow? No, really. How do folks learn more about you, contact you, get in touch with you, learn about what's going on at Powder River?
The best way is to connect with us on LinkedIn. We're on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. You can contact us through our website. We have a contact form there. But LinkedIn is the most professional platform. And so if you're contacting us with an actual professional interest, that is the best place.
Well, hey, this has been great. Really appreciate your time today. Camden, run us out.
All right. Thank you all for listening to today's show. Special thanks to our guest, Yolanda Clarke, for joining us today, and our sponsor, Tribe and Purpose. Find your tribe, find your purpose. You can check out recent episodes of The Cam and Otis Show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast, and check out a full archive at thecamandotisshow.buzzsprout.com. The Cam and Otis Show is on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks again, and we'll see y'all next week.